What's up, Team Flynn? Pat here, and I'm in my home office about to show you how to get your podcast up and running so that you can play it on your Apple Podcast app, so that you can play it on Stitcher, on Google Play, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all those good places. Before you do that, however, you need to host your MP3 files that you've likely already recorded at this point. If you haven't already, click the links below to find the other tutorials on how to get everything set up, how to record your show, all that jazz. But if you've already got your podcast episodes recorded, whether they are tagged or not, you need to upload those MP3 files to a podcast host. Yes, you could hypothetically host them through your website server, but you do not want to do that because when all those directories call for that podcast, they're going to call and essentially eat the bandwidth from your website, and you don't want that to happen. You want it such that when a person plays your podcast episode on their app, on your computer, on your website, wherever, it's calling from the podcast host, the media website that is hosting your file so that it's running smoothly. So let's go into the computer right now. I'm going to show you my recommended hosting provider, some other options for you, and exactly how to set up a show. I'm going to actually set up a brand new one for you right now, so you'll just follow along. Let's do it. All right, so here we are at buzzsprout.com, and actually if you go to this link here, smartpassiveincome.com/buzzsprout, that is an affiliate link, but it also gives you access to, as you can see here, we have partnered together. They're going to give you 33% more time on whatever paid plan you choose. So just go to that link, smartpassiveincome.com/buzzsprout. But before I get to that, I do want to just tell you what this thing is about. This is your podcast media host, and there are many different media hosts out there, from Libsyn to SoundCloud to several others. I've used them all. I still use several of them. I love Libsyn. I've used them forever. They're kind of the first media host to come about, but what I love about Buzzsprout is it's just so simple to use, and my job here is to make podcasting so simple for you. This is why I love Buzzsprout. Any of them will work to get your show up, but this will be the easiest. So what I'm going to do is actually log you into my show, Ask Pat, which is hosted on Buzzsprout, and then I'm going to create a new podcast to show you exactly how to go about doing that for your show too. So I'm going to click login here, and I'm going to go, and here we are in Ask Pat. And as you can see here, this is the dashboard. It tells me exactly how much more time I have to upload. And that's what's one of the unique things about Buzzsprout. Unlike some of these other ones, which are more data-based, meaning you only have a certain amount of megabytes to use, this is all about the amount of time that you upload, so you can plan a little bit better, and it might save you a little bit of money as well. Here you can see episodes that are scheduled for the near future. I'm recording this in February right now. We've already planned ahead of time what these episodes are, and we've already recorded and scheduled them so that they're automatically going to happen. We tend to stay about a month or two ahead of schedule on Ask Pat, which is really cool. And here are ones that have just come out, and you can see the data here, the episode, the duration, and the plays, and you can see over time you will get more downloads as you sort of go back in time, and you can even see which ones kind of spike here, like this one. How can I create an online business when time management is difficult? That's a larger amount than average, and that tells me, people are interested in that topic, and I should be talking about that more. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about some strategies for content. I want to talk about hosting. And so I'm going to take you into a few places here. Actually, probably the best way to do this is to not take you through Ask Pat, which is already in existence. I want to actually create a new podcast for you, a hypothetical one, and just kind of run you through exactly the things you need to do and actually how to submit it to the directories. And so we'll go from there. So once I'm in here, I'm going to click Create a New Podcast. And are you sure? Yes, I'm going to do that. Podcast name, Test Podcast for Awesome People. That's you guys. Create New Podcast. That's going to be the name of it, as you can see. So before I upload some episodes for you that likely, again, you've already recorded, I want to work on the podcast settings really quick. So I'm going to click on Podcast Settings, and this is where we create the information that will be seen when people find your podcast and also play your podcast. So your podcast title is going to go here, Test Podcast for Awesome People. Don't keyword stuff it, by the way, and definitely don't keyword stuff the artist. That's you. I used to do this as well. I used to go Pat Flynn, blogger, entrepreneur, blah, 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 blah. And I actually got, thankfully, I got an email from Apple saying, don't do that or we're going to remove you from iTunes. Some people haven't been so lucky, and they've actually been removed because they've been keyword stuffing after their artist name. Just put your name on there, and perhaps if you wanted to, the name of your company as well if you wanted to, but do not stuff a bunch of keywords in there. Now, obviously, you should hopefully have some keywords in your title. If not, that's totally okay, because you will definitely have to have, and this is my recommendation, have keywords in your podcast description. I would highly recommend in your podcast description starting out with a very compelling first sentence to allow people who find you. And just to show you where this is, I'm going to open iTunes really quick. This is your podcast description right here. This is my iTunes page for the Smart Passive Income podcast. Right here, Pat Flynn from the Smart Passive Income blog reveals all of his online business and blogging strategies. Those are keywords, online business and blogging strategies, income sources, and killer marketing tips, another keyword, and tricks, so you can be ahead of the curve with your online business or blog. Highly recommend putting at least one or two primary keywords that you want to rank for in your first sentence of your description, as well as a benefit. The benefit is so you can stay ahead of the curve with your online business or blog. So let me shrink that, and that goes in here. So first sentence equals, again, obviously don't copy this, but you would create these sentences ahead of time or as you were doing this. First sentence equals one or two primary keywords plus benefit to the listener. Next, you can include other information that includes other keywords, but really big thing, write for people. Write for humans. Yes, iTunes and other directories which find this are search engines, and it's helpful to have keywords in there, but it's also helpful to write for humans who are actually the ones who are going to be subscribing to your show. So just keep that in mind. Now, your podcast artwork, I would recommend uploading a 3,000 by 3,000 pixel piece of artwork. That's actually what's recommended by iTunes, especially for now, a lot of the bigger screens and the bigger iPads and those kinds of things. So when you are uploading artwork, make it 3,000 by 3,000, and you should already have that sort of available. If not, you can use something like Canva to create that. But 3,000 by 3,000 pixels, and I'm actually going to choose a file right now. Okay, so I just found my Ask Pat logo. Again, this is just a sample so that you can kind of walk through this with me. And here are your Apple Podcast categories. So you want to choose 3. The first one is going to be the most important one. That is your primary category. And for me, it's business, marketing, and management. So I choose a subcategory to be my primary category because I want to have most of my sort of eyeballs on there. And that's what makes the most sense for my particular podcast. Yes, you can always come back here at any point in the future, go to podcast settings and change these. I know a lot of people who actually use that to their advantage. They get really high on one, they sort of saturate that market, and they go and then they switch it to another one later. And you can do that too if you get high rankings and kind of have been in there for a while. But I'm just going to do business and then maybe education training. So this represents sort of my test podcast here. Episode limit, show all episodes. Definitely want to do that. Artist, just my name. Episodic or serial. Episodic means it's kind of just one after another, and a person can listen to just one episode and get a complete picture there. Serial means it would be something that should be listened to episode 1 first. And if you think of the podcast Serial, which was sort of that true crime podcast, to really understand the full story, you had to go to sort of chapter 1 or episode 1. And so that's a way to remember what serial means. Serial meaning, you want to start from the beginning. So I usually include just episodic for my one-off episodes, which each one can be listened to individually without any concern for the others. Time zone, I am in Pacific time. Your website address. So for me, it's, smartpassiveincome.com. And this is what's included where? In iTunes. That is what's going to go here. Under links, website, and other directories, we'll see that as well. And report a concern here, that's exactly where these people go to. So that listeners can contact you. So contact email, that's again there. Now keywords. Keywords are not used by Apple. This is metadata behind your episode. It's not actually seen anywhere. However, other directories do read keywords, and Apple may change their mind in the future. So if your episodes are about, marketing, I'm just going to do, marketing, entrepreneurship. I don't know if I spelled that right. Email marketing, online business, how to start a business. As you can see, maximum of 12. Again, have them match the keywords that you have in your podcast description and potentially podcast title, and it'll be that much stronger. And yes, keywords actually do matter. If, for example, I go to iTunes and type in blogging, you'll see me kind of up there, both for Ask Pat and the Smart Passive Income podcast. And that helps quite a bit, actually. So support the show link. That's if you have sort of a Patreon or something like that. I do not have that. And make sure if you do say swear words in your show to have this marked, because you can get docked for not marking this if you do have swear words and explicit content on your show. So I'm going to save podcast info. And by the way, if you come back here and change things later, as you can see in this tip here, it may take up to 24 hours for Apple specifically to see those changes. What happens is, let me go back to Apple here. What happens is Apple and all the other directories, they check this feed that you're going to give them, and I'll show you where to get that in just a minute, but they check it every once in a while. They go, oh, here's Pat's show. Has anything changed? No? Okay, I'm going to keep it the same. They check again a few hours later. Hey, has Pat changed anything? No. And then they come back later. Oh, Pat's added a new episode. Cool, let's include it here on this directory. And for Apple Podcasts specifically, if anybody is subscribed to your show, then they also get a notification that a new episode has been uploaded, which is really handy. So let's get out of there. So as you can see down, my artwork has been updated. And again, I can change this stuff at any time, which is super cool. Now, before you submit to iTunes and Apple Podcasts and these other directories, which, by the way, Buzzsprout makes it super easy for you to do. You just literally click on iTunes and directories, and you can get the instructions on how to do that. And I'm just going to do Apple Podcasts for you. They have the instructions for the other ones here too, which is nice. But I'll show you how easy it is. The number one thing you need to know is you have to have episodes published here first, not just scheduled. They have to be published because your RSS feed, which is a really long, nasty set of codes, and this is where you get it, under iTunes and Directories RSS feed. I'm going to copy that and actually show you what this looks like. It's just a bunch of code. And as more episodes come out, as more information comes out, this code begins to get longer and longer and longer. And as you can see, this is where we put our title. This is where we put the link. This is where we put the author name, all that stuff. This just confuses the heck out of us. But this is what makes it easy. Using tools like Buzzsprout and all these other podcast hosts, they allow for us to not have to worry about coding that. The coding happens kind of just behind the scenes there. However, this RSS feed, you want to tattoo that to your forehead because that's what you submit to Apple Podcasts, to Stitcher, to Google Podcasts, etc. That's where they call to see if any more episodes have been published. For Apple Podcasts specifically, if you submit your show and you do not have any podcasts published, they're not gonna approve it. They're gonna deny it, and they'll tell you that you don't have any episodes yet. So you have to have some episodes published. Now, some of you might worry, well, Pat, I don't want my episodes published before they're ready. Publish them here on Buzzsprout, and like nobody's gonna find these. You're not gonna tell anybody where to go to directly download these yet. It's essentially like getting your housewarming party ready. What you're doing is you're getting the plates out and the chips and the hors d'oeuvres and the salsa and the lobster. I don't know what kind of housewarming parties you have, but I'm just all ranges there, right? And then on your launch day, that's when you tell people to go to iTunes and find it. And yes, it may be already available on iTunes. You will actually want to submit it to iTunes ahead of time so that you know everything's ready to go. And then at 5 p.m. on that date, everybody comes over, they ring on the doorbell, and then they all have a good time and they start sharing your show and you have your party, right? That's your launch. You're getting things ready. You have to upload episodes before you submit them to these directories, especially Apple Podcasts, or else you will get denied. So how do we upload a new episode? Quite simply, click on Upload a New Episode. So what I'm going to do is actually, and again, it tells you exactly how much time you have and if you need to upgrade, etc. You can drag your audio file here. Again, your MP3 file. Your MP3 file. That's what you need to have already done, already edited, and then you upload it here. And the cool thing is you don't actually have to have it tagged already. These podcast hosts, Buzzsprout and Libsyn, they actually allow you to tag them after your episode has been uploaded, which is really cool. So I'm just going to choose a random file here, and you'll see it in just a moment. Okay, so as you can see, nice and big, it is uploading, which is really cool. And then I can set different things here. I can say, okay, leave unpublished, and I will manually publish when it's ready. I can hit this to publish immediately after it's done processing, which I don't usually do. Or I could schedule for the future, which is actually what I usually do. So I could schedule this ahead of time. However, if this is your first episode, and by the way, I would recommend launching with 3 already published and then announcing it to the world so that people have more episodes to kind of get into and more opportunities to hear your call to actions and all that stuff. Then I would schedule for the future after your first 3 episodes are up. So I'd actually publish these manually first. But again, the episode was just uploaded. Now I want to insert. This is where all the metadata goes for this particular episode. So you don't have to do it ahead of time. You can do it here. And this is really important because this stuff shows up in various places. It shows up here on iTunes. So this is the episode title. And this is the episode description, which is here. Now, the episode description is less important on the desktop, but it's super important on your mobile device because the links are clickable in your podcast description. So you can actually link back to your website or link back to other things that are referenced in the show too. And that's all done here under episode description. And it's as simple as that. So compelling episode title goes here. And then episode description goes here. Make it for a human, but also include keywords relevant to this particular episode. Also include clickable links like to your website. And I'm just going to show you how to do that really quickly. I'm going to highlight that and click on link. And I'm going to put the website there. Let's just do askpat.com link. And then this is going to be clickable in your Apple Podcast app, but also other directories, not the iTunes description here, as you can see here. Again, you can see a link there to the show notes page. It's not clickable right now, but that's okay. By the way, you'll also want to capture your link to your iTunes page at some point. This is where you get it here on the desktop. Copy link. That's your link. That's just for future reference, just while I was there. Cool. All right, episode summary. This is not used on Apple, but it's used on many other directories too. So an episode summary would be probably just a paragraph worth. So a paragraph to summarize the podcast episode. Spell check. Artist guest, you can have your name and or the guest's name there as well. You can actually have custom artwork just for this episode. So if you have a special guest and you want to have your face and Tim Ferriss's face on there too, obviously if Tim Ferriss is on your show, then you could do that if you'd like, and it's easier to do this here doing it that way. And again, 3,000 by 3,000 pixels will be the recommended size for that. Tags, again, these are not used by Apple yet, or maybe they were and aren't anymore, but they could be. And some other directories use these as well. These are just, consider these keywords or tags related to your particular episode. So tag 1, tag 2, tag 3, tag 4, and tag 5. And then here is where you would add the season if you are doing seasonal content. This is where you would add the episode number, and this is where you would add the episode type, full, trailer, or bonus. I don't typically do anything with that. I usually have just full episodes. I don't have trailers or anything like that. Trailers are very popular for those fictional podcasts. If, say, for example, you're done with season 1 and you want to show just a trailer and have it marked as trailer in Apple Podcasts apps that are on iOS 11 and older, or and newer devices, then it would say trailer for like next season or something like that. But usually I just do the episode number here. Big question that you might have is, well, should I also include the episode number here? 001, for example. And I would say yes, because many directories don't do what Apple is now doing, which is actually automatically removing the episode number from here and actually including it in the user interface on an app instead. I typically like to have it here just to be universal for everybody, but you don't want to have too many characters because it limits, it can get truncated there, and it limits the compelling episode title and keywords you can include in your episode title. And again, you can mark if the episode contains explicit materials. I'm going to save the episode details. And now it says, okay, this episode is not live. So what I'm actually going to do is go live with it now. So actually, I'm going to get rid of this since I'm not moving to Buzzsprout from another host. I'm actually creating a new podcast. If you wanted to move from another host, you can do it here by just following these steps, but I'm actually going to remove that there. Now, what I want to do is actually just hit publish on this episode so that it's actually live. Okay, so I'm going to click on the episode. And you can see it says episode is not live. I can actually click to play this. AskPat.com. Cool. Now what I'm going to do is I can hit publish, which I'm going to do right now. And now it's published. So this is actually live now, but it's not live anywhere. We haven't submitted the podcast to any directories yet. Nobody has subscribed yet, and that's totally okay. By the way, I can also get the embed code for this just one episode, so I can embed this on my blog post to support this one episode. But what I want to show you now is actually how to submit this to Apple Podcasts. And to do that, just go to iTunes and directories. And again, now that I have at least one episode published, it will be approved if all else is well. They check for things like if there are swear words in the description, they will not approve you. If the artwork is not good quality, they will not approve you. all those kinds of things. And they'll tell you it's actually much better now than when it was when I started 10 years ago. They'll actually tell you what's wrong. Before, it would just be like, sorry, you're denied, and they wouldn't tell you why, which is not cool. So you go here, you click on submit to Apple Podcasts, and then you have to log in to podcastconnect.apple.com. Actually, I think it'll take you there. Yes, podcastconnect.apple.com. Actually, crap, I think it's gonna submit it. I think I can delete it though. Okay, no. Okay, I have to submit it. I have to actually click to submit. So okay, so as you can see here, it's pulling the things that I already shared with you. This is the URL for the RSS feed. It is the title here, episodic, business category, language, and the description is here, as you can see, all that good stuff. The website link is there too. Episode 1 is published there below, which is great. Now I'm going to hit validate, which again just makes sure that everything's good and kosher. And now I hit submit. And when I hit submit, iTunes will approve it, hopefully, if everything goes well, within likely 24 to 48 hours. I've heard of people get approved within 2 to 3 hours, and I've heard people take a few more days. Now, note that there are actually human beings who check these things to see if they're worth approving or not. So they do not approve over the weekend, and they do not approve over holidays. So if you are submitting right before any of those things, note that they might wait till the other end to make that happen. I'm actually not going to hit submit because I've already had my podcast submitted. All right, so here we are back on Buzzsprout. And again, you can change anything that we've updated already, from the artwork to your podcast title, the description. You can go back to your episodes in the past, edit those, and you can change any of this information. And again, it'll get updated in Apple and the other directories over time. And again, to submit to all these other directories, go here for Google, Spotify, Stitcher. And again, if you want to get your RSS feed, this is where you grab it too. But as you can see, this is super simple to use. Now, a few other things that I want to mention: podcast stats. Stats are not great for podcasting, just overall. And again, this is not showing anything because I don't have data yet for this brand new podcast that I'm going to delete in just a moment. But it'll show you information about how many downloads each episode gets, what your average download count is, different devices people are using to listen, and also locations. Website. What is website? Website is something that you do not need to worry about. This is if you don't have a website of your own to host your podcast, essentially to display your podcast, I mean. This is your Buzzsprout provided podcast website. And so this will just be a page that you could potentially share with others. If I open this in a new tab, you'll see this is what the page would look like. And as your podcast has more episodes, more information will show. This is your description here. And this is just handy if you don't have a website of your own to have your podcast. But of course, on your website, your blog, you should have a blog post for each episode that has your show notes and links and resources and other things. The player that you can go here. You can also, I'd recommend checking out the Smart Podcast Player if you don't have that already, smartpodcastplayer.com. This is a customized player that my team and I built that'll allow for a lot more things to happen. It automatically plays new episodes, and you can see there's a couple versions here. This is the Smart Podcast Player, but there's also the Smart Track Player, which is where you can see one episode. It also has a sticky player, like you can see here on the bottom, that lives on your website, and a lot of cool things. You can build your email list through your podcast player as well, and a lot of cool people use this too. So smartpodcastplayer.com, that's sort of next steps once you're up and running on Buzzsprout and you got things looking the way you want them to. And there you go. So good job, everybody. Appreciate you, and I hope that helps you learn how to get your podcast up and running. And again, Buzzsprout is the recommended host because they're so easy to use. But again, the link is smartpassiveincome.com/Buzzsprout, and that'll give you the additional 33% more time, so you get more bang for your buck there, and just go from there. And again, that is an affiliate link, so I do get a little kickback as a thank you. And again, best of luck to you, and I'll see you in all the directories. Looking forward to your show. Cheers. Good luck.